Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or you're just happy to see me?
Hello, everyone. God damn. This episode both broke my heart and pissed me off. Someone asked me on Twitter, I think it was Mike Hill. I don't know if you're lurking or not, but asked me if Elrond kissing his future mother-in-law either pissed me off or broke my heart. That pissed me off because one, it shouldn't have happened at all. I know people are going to come in with the excuse that he only did it because like he was the way the scene is set up, basically, and I will say hello to the chat, but the way the scene is set up is not Galadriel, is in chains, and not Elrond is basically going to. He's basically told Adar, essentially, like, put up or shut up. Basically, we're gonna face each other on the battlefield, and so forth. And he's, basically, allow me to kind of say my last goodbyes or whatever to not Galadriel. And to do so, he gets, close enough to her that he can basically slip her a lockpick. Basically, yeah, there's a little fucking lockpick of sorts that is disguised as I don't know what, just. Like a trinket or something that like you push on it or something. It pokes out like an end. I don't know what to call it, but an end that you can pick a lock with. All right, I'm like, okay, so I get that fucking premise, but he didn't have to kiss his future mother-in-law. It just makes it so fucking weird because in lore, actual lore, Elrond marries Celebrian, the daughter of Celeborn and Galadriel. At this point, Celebrian should be born. All right, Elrond is younger than Galadriel. All right, so it's kind of like a weird MILF thing at this point when he does that. But at the same time, it's like he marries Celebrian, Galadriel's daughter. So basically, Galadriel is his mother-in-law and grandmother to Arwen. I believe Elrond had 2 sons or something like that, but Arwen's like, no, but it just comes across as like, yes, thank you, thoughts like, no, like a weird MILF thing between, seeing between the two, and I haven't seen this online, but I fucking shippers out there are going to see this as a love triangle between you have Elrond and not Elrond and not Sauron, and not Galadriel, basically, which never fucking happened in the lore. But the big thing about this episode is, and I will show you again a map of Middle-earth, is that these writers and showrunners and Amazon in general have no fucking concept of map scales. What looks close on a map does not mean it translates that fucking close in real life. No, he's not even in this show. Celeborn's not even in this show. He's supposed to be alive. He and Galadriel are married. They're not exactly, when I say not exactly living together, there's situations where at some point they are living apart, but there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it in the actual lore. There's no circumstance where it's like, oh my god, is he alive or dead or anything like that. No. And then, eventually, they rule, and their land is Lothlorien. All right, that's their territory of sorts. For one better way of putting it, their kingdom on Middle Earth is Lothlorien. And Elrond is Lord of Rivendell. All right, which is it's also referred to as Imladris. So, whew. But I'm going to show you a map. Okay, I'm going to show you a map, and then I'm going to go into this episode. I couldn't get my special copy to work, so I'm going to have to show it on a special site I use, essentially, to watch special copies. So it's not going to be the same as I would normally show it, but it is what it is at this point. But from the top, I see Jaluk. Hello, good to see you. Yeah, it was Sheet. Gravy D, hello, Mr. Bentham, what is up? Hashtag Elven Fades, yes, because there somehow is a barber in Middle-earth that gives these perfect fades to elves. The DEI, diversity is our strength, elven race. And the elven race, again, and I cannot stress this enough, the elven race is the children of Iluvatar, basically. They are made in his image. Alright? The only way that there ever be diversity amongst elves is if an elf has a relationship with a human. Right? That of the race of men. As Arwen does with Aragorn, as Luthien does with Beren. Elrond's is the product of an elf and human pairing. So, because Elrond's name is Elrond Half Elven. He is literally half elven, but still has the image of what elves should look like. Soul Assassin, hello. Yeah, pretty much. Gerfalcon, hello. Pornhub thing starts to play, yes. Hound, good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, went back to the book, pretty much, yeah. Hello, Terra Crystal. Poor Celebrimbor made him look like he was going crazy. Yeah, that pissed me off in this episode, what they did to Celebrimbor. Because again, each episode I break down what happens in the show, not everything that happens in the show, but I break down what happens in the episode, and I compare it to what actually happens. All right? And then when I start talking about the episode, I will go into that. But I want to show you, again, a map of Middle-earth, all right? Just to give you perspective, all right? Just to give you perspective on locations where certain characters were and where they end up, okay, in this episode, all right? So, window. Why can't I show it? Hold on. I want to share my entire screen. Hold on. Why is it not reading that I have this open? Hold on. Let me do that. There it is. Why it does this, I have no fucking idea. Are you gonna show? Okay. All right. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit just to give you perspective, as I said. Okay. Here is a Region. Where am I moving my little cursor? And I gotta go back to StreamYard to see that it's like showing it. Actually, I'm going to move this over here a little bit. So this is a Region. This is where the siege happens. Okay, right up here. Right around here would be, Khazad-dûm. This is particularly why it makes no sense for Celebrimbor not to already have a relationship of sorts with the dwarves, because he is a master craftsman, and he's right in the vicinity of Khazad-dûm, right, where the dwarves live. So to have him not be friend of the dwarves in this show was just retarded in general, just because of that fucking reason there. Because of that fucking reason. But anyway, here's a Region. Where we last really saw Hood Legolas was down around here. Alright, Pelargir, which is right in this region right here. Okay? He somehow fucking ends up all the way here in a matter of days. In a matter of days, he ends up all the way up here. Again, just to give you perspective, from the Shire to Weathertop, from this here to this here, even with Aragorn speeding things up from Bree to Weathertop, it took the hobbits about a month to get from here to here. And that is a much fucking shorter difference in comparison than this to here. Gil-galad shows up. Gil-galad never fucking showed up at the siege of Region. Alright? Never fucking showed up. But Gil-galad, he's coming all the way from Lindon, which is this general area right here. All the way to fucking here. Here to here. In a matter of fucking days. And I know it was a matter of fucking days because not Galadriel has not been captured for that long. And Elrond somehow made it back to Lindon on fucking foot in a quick amount of time and made it all the way back here. Not only fucking made it all the way back here, no, he's able in that time to basically make it all the way back here, but bypass it a little bit into Khazad Dûm to enlist the help of the dwarves in this episode to fight against the orcs that are laying siege to Region, because the orcs in this series are trying to kill Sauron, which never fucking happened in the lore. But that's somehow they've gotten wind that Sauron is in the Region. How? No fucking clue. They just gloss over that little fact that they somehow have deduced or have an inkling that Sauron is in the Region. Yeah, they have level 100 transportation skills, apparently. Yeah, I'm saying, hey, Abomination. It should have taken, almost a year to get from those points to Region. But they're doing it in a matter of fucking days. I just wanted to put that perspective out there for you guys for this episode, because this entire episode is the siege of a Region in the retarded minds of these writers and showrunners in Amazon. Because this is not actually how it fucking happens. All right? So I'm going to stop sharing that. Just to give you perspective on... Just to give you a little bit of perspective on the distance that these characters had to fucking travel to get from one point to where, the whole of the episode is taking place. I hate this series. You have no fucking idea how much I hate this series. All right, so whenever I pause this is on a special site. It's going to turn black and white. All right, but this is, like I said, this is the entire Siege of Region. And what pissed me off about this episode is Celebrimbor is not only, as I stated in the previous stream, given qualities of Feanor he never exhibited in actual lore, such as, pride and duplicitousness and things like that. They've written it that he's also weak-minded, because basically the siege is going on. All right, the siege is going on, but he is under the impression, because of Sauron, that all is well. All right, that all is well. All right, so he's making the 9 rings. Okay, so this is actual lore, ladies and gentlemen. This is the genuine lore. Okay. 16 of the 19 rings of power, excluding the One Ring, because the One Ring is the 20th ring that, OneRing.net always conveniently fucking forgets about. All right, but the 16 of the 19 rings of power distributed, all right, were made by Sauron and Celebrimbor, all right, basically, and by the Elven Smiths of Region, basically. But Sauron had influence on the making of those rings. Celebrimbor made 3 rings of power on his own, okay, that he gave to the elves for safekeeping, right? That he gave to the elves for safekeeping, because there was something not quite right about Anatar, and the not quite right was revealed in basically 1600 of this year of the Second Age, that Anatar was actually Sauron. All right, but basically, okay, so that's how it is. Basically, so 16 of the 19 rings were made with those 2 primary forces. Okay, they weren't made specifically for each of the races. All right, they weren't made specifically for a race in mind, so to speak. All right, they were divvied up that way because Sauron saw the 3 races of elves, dwarves, and men as as basically his, how do I put this? He saw them as the primary antagonists to his goal of seizing Middle Earth. All right, so he saw them as the threats to his overall goal. Right. So when people ask, why didn't he? Why didn't he basically think about the hobbits. Well, the hobbits, the hobbit race, weren't even known about in the Second Age. So for them to include hobbits goes against the history of Middle Earth, because they weren't known to the other races essentially until they kind of made an appearance in the Third Age. Now, were they around in the Second Age? Most likely, yes, but they were never part of the Middle Earth history until the Third Age. You know, like basically, his chief opponents, essentially, like they are the chief threats, the primary threats to his overall goals, right? And so basically, those top three races: elves, men, and dwarves. Okay, not in any particular order. Maybe elves first, because, well, they are the children of Iluvatar, and Sauron is doesn't like the Iluvatar or the Valar. All right. So that's the reason why Sauron never really took its, I guess, in a way, seriously, the threat hobbits could pose to him, because he didn't see them as threats. He didn't necessarily see them as threats, because they're like, what, 4 foot and under, pretty much. They're tiny. They're short. All right. So now, again, Liquid Blake, tell me what cosplay you want me to bring to physically assault you in. So whenever I get there, I will wear it and live stream, basically me pummeling you. But welcome. All right. But that's the reason why. Okay. When Sauron lays siege to Eregion, it's after the One Ring has been created, and he's made his presence renowned on Middle Earth, basically. Like, surprise, motherfuckers, I'm still around, is basically how it goes. All right? It's basically how it goes. Because it was believed he was still around, but he was deceiving. All right? So he's a Maiar. All right? He's able to change his appearance and so forth. So he's basically surprised, motherfucker. It's like it's fucking literally the Vince, it's like Vince McMahon whole, it was me, Austin, is pretty much how it worked out in the parlance of modern pop culture, basically. It's how it literally played out. All right. It was me all along. Okay. And Sauron, with the orcs, because the orcs never turned against Sauron once they realized who he was, laid siege to Eregion, and Sauron, basically, after laying siege, taking over, and torturing Celebrimbor, gets 16 of the 19 rings. Gives 9 to the race of men and 7 to the dwarves. It was Sauron who did it. Not that they specifically made these rings with the races necessarily in mind. Because, like I said, he wanted to be able to control these races. Right? He wanted to be able to control them. And that's where the influence for the rings comes from, was what he poured into those rings, all right? Which is how he was able to control the race of men, because they were weaker. You know what? Fuck it. Axel Braun would do this more justice than Amazon. I will flat out say that. Okay? No, Abomination. Hey, Conroy. Wait, for free? Yeah, I live stream on my YouTube video. I mean, you can send me super chats or whatever, but I'll wear a cosplay and live stream me beating up Liquid Blake. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, like Axel Braun would do this far more justice than what Amazon is doing. All right. But the reason why the 9 rings ultimately corrupt the race of men, all right, like the 9 who hold it, and why the 7 rings given to the dwarves don't necessarily corrupt them, but they amplify their greed, causing them to, again, dig too greedily and too deep, thus kind of awakening the Balrog that we see in Fellowship of the Ring, is because of the influence of Sauron. All right, he kind of poured his influence into those rings. All right, but Celebrimbor made 3 rings on his own that he gave to the elves for safekeeping. Never revealed to Sauron where those rings were, basically. Even under torture, never revealed to Sauron where those rings were. Right? Which is why Sauron could not corrupt the elves in that sense, because there was no connection with those rings to him. Then you take this shit show and they reverse it. The 9 rings made for the race of men are made by Celebrimbor himself. So what fucking tap dancing are these assholes going to do to explain how Sauron was able to take the spirits of the men who died who held those rings, basically because there was that corrupting influence, and turn them into the ring wraiths? What fucking retarded tap dancing are they going to do? But this entire episode is basically the Siege of Eregion. Siege of Eregion. But the siege is only by the orcs themselves, because they're going after Sauron. It makes no fucking sense. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. I mean, Jesus Christ. Again, orcs, the only orcs that ever at all quote unquote turned against Sauron, and they didn't even turn against him. They didn't believe him. They didn't follow his orders or anything. It's because it were the Eastern orcs, and that was because Sauron appeared to them at first in his form of Anatar, an elf. So the orcs are going to be like, fuck you, I'm not listening to you. But once Sauron revealed his actual visage, the orcs bowed to him because they knew Sauron was the second to Morgoth. Morgoth created the orcs. The orcs are an extension of Morgoth, and thus by nature evil. So they're going to follow Sauron. I'm saying ruined everything, because now they're going to have to basically do a retarded tap dance and explain how he was able to corrupt the race of men with those 9 rings, and yet some fucking how not control the elves, corrupt the elves. It makes no sense, but that's what I just laid out as the actual lore. It basically is loyalty by default, right? Because there was the character of Adar is non-canonical. He never fucking existed. Orcs, like I said, were an extension of Morgoth, so by their nature, were evil, because they were an extension of their creator. So people posting on X, even Tolkien himself thought they could be redeemed. Even though Tolkien, I'm like, you're missing part of that letter. While Tolkien does not think they are beyond redemption necessarily, because they are created in God's world, essentially, and God is good. They are by their nature evil. They always gloss over that line in the letter, by nature evil. It would take an act of God himself to redeem the orc race. But God is not going to do that, because he gives, basically this is the God of the New Testament, and not of the Old Testament, so God basically gives the races free will. Right? Now, will God allow the race to do anything? No, because the Númenóreans under Ar-Pharazôn try to wage war on Valinor. So God's not going to let that happen. All right, God's not going to let that happen, basically. So, Númenor's no more at that point. No, I'm saying not saying that all the Númenóreans die, because Elendil and his sons, Isildur and Anarion, and others of the faithful, those that still had fealty to Iluvatar and the Valar and Valinor and so forth, were allowed safe passage from Numenor to Middle-earth, and thus Gondor was created. As one of like the regions, basically. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So basically, and after that long diatribe of actual lore, in this episode, Celebrimbor is shown to be weak because he's making these rings under the impression that all is well in Eregion, and he's being manipulated mentally by Sauron to basically work on these rings while Eregion is under attack. Yes, Valinor is heaven. So basically, in one of the first few episodes of season 1, when Galadriel is tasked, well, not tasked, but she's basically ordered to basically depart to Middle Earth and go to Valinor, basically, and she decides to jump ship before entering the gates and try to swim back to Middle Earth again, with these asshole writers not understanding the concept of a map. She turned her back on heaven. Is what she did. She turned her back on heaven. She basically turned her back on God and the angels at that point by doing that. And she was going to swim an ocean back to Middle Earth. But yeah, that's what Valinor is. So basically, when Ar-Pharazôn is manipulated by Sauron to wage war on Valinor, he's basically waging war against heaven. So he's waging war against God and his army of angels, essentially. So they weren't going to win. But Sauron saw a pigeon in Ar-Pharazôn, like I can manipulate this fool. Like this man here will do exactly what I want him to do. Like Sauron read Ar-Pharazôn like a fucking book. Yeah, there's a meme. If you look it up, basically, in comparison of the armor, right, of Gondor and Numenor, because Gondor was founded by Numenorians, all right, and it's Boromir in his armor for the Lord of the Rings movies. Oh, shut up, last toxic male. But it's like Boromir in his armor and Elendil in his armor, and it's like Gondor at its weakest, Numenor at its strongest, and you just see the comparison in quality to the armor, and you're looking at this going, again, like this is supposed to be Gondor at its weakest, because Gondor has been fighting like Mordor forces for God knows how long. They are basically the defense, like the line between Mordor and the rest of Middle Earth, essentially. Or one of the lines, basically. And that's when they're at their weakest. Like, look at that quality versus what we get in this shit series. No worries, Metalong. What we get in this shit series. And you look at the fight that happens in this entire episode. It was piss poor. It was piss poor. And I'm supposed to believe, this doesn't like show boxes, so I have no idea where this arrow is going to end up, basically. I mean, look at this. Again, when I pause this, it's black and white. I can't help it. So I don't know what's going on, but look at this. Look at that armor. These are again, while there were different positions of sorts amongst the elves, because you had more of the statesmen, heralds, and so they were also fighters. Just because Celebrimbor was a master craftsman doesn't mean that he couldn't fight necessarily. I'm saying it's like going to be black and white when it's paused, basically. But to show you like the quality, look at that armor. Look at the fucking folds here. Like, really? You couldn't find anything that fucking was more fitted? Under what, I don't know, what looks like, you know what? I was going to say high school production quality, but even high school production quality would be better than this shit. Oh, look, diversity is our strength, L's too. Look at that. At least Axel Braun pays attention to detail. Movie by, yeah, so. You know, hell, the Dungeons and Dragons movie from, like, the early 2000s looked fucking better than this. But I'm looking at, you know, the folds and things like that, and just the color is just so dull. Yeah. Oh, and somehow, I don't know if I'm at this point. Hold on. I gotta. Okay, they're. Oh, yeah, I'm at this point. Okay, watch this, chat. Basically, initially the orcs were using catapults to launch, you know, rocks, like, you know, basically big rocks, boulders towards Region to break the walls. Okay, then Adar had them re-angle the catapults. Why? Because he wants to dam up the river, because there's a river that's, you know, acts as basically a border. All right, that they need to cross, and in order to cross, they want to dam the river. They just want to poop us. Oh yeah, she's yeah. Galadriel, in actual lore, is well over 6 feet tall. She is tall, and they have her looking like my height in this show. I'm 5'2". There's no fucking way I could be an elf. Oh, I bet. Like, he rips like shit to shreds. But this, like, watch what these rocks are able to do. And I gotta pause periodically because, you know, if I play it a little bit too long, YouTube doesn't like that shit, even though I'm not breaking any copyright laws. All right, so they're firing. Look at this. Look at this. There's no way this should have happened. But, you know, again, plot convenience. Because the writers can't come up with anything that even remotely fucking smacks of creativity and logic. These rocks hurled at this. Oh, look at that little convenient rock right there that's holding up this big one. Plot convenience. That's not how trebuchets or catapults work. That's the distance, roughly, that they would have to travel. Right fucking there. Sorry, I'm going to turn this off. All right. Look at that. Somehow that happens. Oh, look, and the elves are retarded in this episode. The elves are retarded in this episode. This is what I'll say to this. One, I'm crossing my fingers that it will eventually be canceled. However, and I said this in another stream, so I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this has been known since around the time that season 1 was being filmed and released, and that is Amazon greenlit 3 seasons, basically. So by contract, they are obligated to make at least one more season of this. And supposedly they're already filming the 3rd season. So, but they're committed to the 5-season plan. However, they only greenlit 3 so far. So I feel like we're at least going to get, unless anything changes and they're able to finagle their way out of that, we're going to get at least one more season of this. At least. I don't see it. I really, like, if their numbers keep dropping, I don't see it lasting 5. We're at least going to get one more. Because of what the position Amazon put themselves in when they greenlit, rather than greenlit season to season, they greenlit 3 seasons in one go. I'm just saying I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to this, but that's what I had read even before season 1 premiered. So, and it's tracking with what Amazon is doing. I would hope so, because it is an abomination to Tolkien's memory, and the fact that it shows Simon Tolkien as a consultant for this series. I've said it on other streams that we need to basically, the Tolkien fandom needs to band together and lay siege to the Tolkien estate and remove him from power, because how he allowed this abomination to happen was pure greed. Because someone worth their weight in honoring Tolkien's legacy in general, but especially honoring your grandfather's legacy, would have looked at this going, what the fuck? I would have looked at this going, what the fuck are you doing? Well, I've watched all of season 1. and I tore it to shreds. And I'm watching all of season 2. Oh, yeah. Sean Astin. Hello, Trey. How was your stream? Good to see you. You know what? I wish I could give you an answer, Last Toxic Male. Yeah, it'd be like Breaking Bad. Well, at least like the troll character is supposed to be like a Breaking Bad character. And it's, oh, I'm on the last episode of the Vince McMahon docuseries, so I'm planning on finishing that whenever I'm done here. So, but there it is. That's one positive I'll say. There's only 8 fucking episodes a season. But welcome. Hey, Sunny Brave Megatron, good to see you. Just finished your stream. Awesome. But there it is. So they're damming the river. And boom. Like somehow these rocks are able to cause all these bigger rocks on a mountain that should not have happened to basically collapse on itself. Don't you love plot convenience? Don't you love plot convenience? It was just weird. That was weird how that scene played out. I watched this and going, that would never fucking happen. Not like that. No, you'd need a lot of explosive material for that fucking shit to happen. Not a bunch of rocks being trebucheted or catapulted, or however you want to put it, basically against the sides of that. But that's what the Adar does, basically. So his orc forces can cross the river. So. Oh, and like again, if you missed my last stream talking about the previous episode, apparently the legions of orcs were able to amass right under the noses of these elves. And for those who know Tolkien lore, know that elves have the keenest eyesight on Middle Earth. They are made in God's image. They are perfect, essentially, in attributes. And even if you have not read the books and saw just the movies, you would remember in Two Towers, Aragorn asks Legolas, what do your elf eyes see? Because Legolas can fucking see a much greater distance away than Aragorn or Gimli could. So he was able to tell them what the Uruk-hai were doing, with the direction they were taking, and so forth. Miles and miles away. The orcs amassed right under Eregion's fucking noses, and the elves are shocked. Because they're treating elves like humans in this series, and they're not. But when plot convenience needs to happen, right? When plot convenience needs to happen, like, say, going from Lindon to Eregion on fucking foot, yeah, the elves become superhuman because they can travel it in a matter of days. They can travel in fucking days. Yes, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. He's able to tell Aragorn and Gimli, hey, Yeah, we thought they were taking them to Mordor essentially, but no, they're changing direction and going to Isengard because Saruman is basically screwing over Sauron. He's basically screwing over Sauron because Saruman basically aligned himself with Sauron in order to basically, in a sense, get the One Ring because he coveted power. He coveted the power within that piece of jewelry. All right. So when the plot calls for them to be retarded, this shit happens. When the plot calls for them to somehow make it all the way from Lindon to Eregion, they're all of a sudden fucking superhuman. This series is all over the fucking place. I cannot stand this series for multiple reasons. And for not counting the blatant lore breaking, just the piss poor storytelling is just mind-boggling. Jeff Bezos essentially wanted a version, essentially, like his own Game of Thrones. And what pisses me off is if they had actually had the rights to the Second Age, there are events in the Second Age that would have put Game of Thrones to fucking shame. The Second Age history in Middle-earth it was Game of Thrones, essentially, before Game of Thrones was even a thing. Like, there were stories in the Second Age of Middle-earth that, like, if you were to make those, those events a miniseries, it would blow Game of Thrones out of the water in terms of epicness. Even relatively simple stories, like I've told on other streams, when it comes to Finrod, Fingolfin, brother of Galadriel in actual lore, who made a promise to Baron's father that he would basically travel with Baron and protect him because they were trying to track down the Cimmerils. And in tracking down the Cimmerils, it takes them to the Isle of Werewolves, where Sauron is, and they are captured. Okay, and I'm simplifying things, but as I've stated before, Finrod, to save Baron, breaks his chains and kills a werewolf with his bare hands. Pretty much kills a werewolf with his bare hands. Kills a werewolf that was going after Baron with his bare hands, and he himself, Finrod, is mortally wounded as a result and dies. Just in that story alone, to see that on the screen would have been a lot fucking more epic than what we got in this episode. Fuck it. Helm Hammerhand. You have that War of the Rohirrim blasphemy that's coming out in December. The one that's where he's not even going to be the focus. It's going to be his unnamed daughter that they're giving a Greek name to, which makes absolutely no fucking sense because it's more akin to Norse mythology than anything. Helm Hammerhand was the original One Punch Man. He killed a man with one punch, which ignited the war between the man who died, his son, and Helm's people. That, just showing that and actually how it transpires should be epic. Because like I said, he is the original One Punch Man. Oh yeah, Cirith Ungol is actual, Legendarium, because basically that's where Sam and Frodo find Shelob, the offspring of the first Ungoliant. All right. So the fact that they even showed that species already and sealed with the Isildur in one of the episodes breaks lore. Actually, I will blame Peter Jackson because his partner is a full-on fucking feminist. the reason why the Lord of the Rings movies were as respectful as they were to Tolkien's memory. Right, there were liberties taken, but they were a lot more respectful to Tolkien's memory than this shit and what the War of the Rohirrim was going to be, because of one man, Sir Christopher Lee. He kept Peter Jackson and his partner. I think it's Fran. Is it Philippa Boyens or Fran Walsh? I can't fucking remember. One of those two bitches. He kept them in check because one of those women wanted Arwen to appear at the Battle of Helm's Deep, and Christopher Lee was like, fuck that from happening. That never happened. So he is the reason we should be thankful that the Lord of the Rings movies were ever respectful to Tolkien. He fucking made sure that Peter Jackson, he basically held Peter Jackson's balls in a vice grip, and he said, you're going to listen to me, or I'm going to walk. Yeah, I think it's Fran Walsh. I can't remember, basically. But she's a full-on feminist. So will blame Peter Jackson for the animated movie because he is allowing that to happen because of Fran Walsh. Oh yeah, he did, because Christopher Lee did some covert shit with the OSS during World War II. And when they were doing the scene in Return of the King where Saruman is stabbed by Wormtongue, Peter Jackson wanted him to make a sound when that happened, and Christopher Lee was like, "Do you know what sound a man makes when he's stabbed?" And it's like, I do." It's like, "Well, I do." So Christopher Lee, he's right up there. He is right up there. Yeah. So like I said, if we're to thank anyone for the Lord of the Rings movies, it's Sir Christopher Lee. Because we saw what his limited influence, when the Hobbit movies came out, because he was not in good health, so he wasn't really a major part of that filming. So you saw the liberties they took in those movies. And now you're seeing, without him at all, the liberties they're taking with the War of the Rohirrim. Yeah, so we have women to blame for basically the worst aspects, or what could have been the worst aspects of Lord of the Rings movies. So hashtag blame to women. Hashtag blame women. Pretty much. We have them to thank. That's so, again, in that long-ass little explanation, I full-on fucking blame Peter Jackson for War of the Rohirrim. Because he's allowing it to happen. Alright? Got Christopher Lee had a pimp hand, basically. Punish, control. And he fucking kept it in control for Lord of the Rings. Anyway. So, again, like I said, Elrond's able to travel all the way from Lindon to Eregion, but bypass Eregion to get to Khazad-dûm to enlist the aid of the dwarves, basically, because the premise with the dwarves is they're King Durin. There would be no two Durins at the same time. But King Durin is now, basically, he's very greedy because of the ring. He wants to keep digging and digging and digging and digging to get more and more and more and more. So the dwarves are starting to stand against him. All right, that's the premise with the dwarves in this episode. But initially, Elrond is given the promise by Prince Durin that the dwarves will come to the elves' aid at Eregion. And ultimately, that doesn't happen because, King Durin goes crazy and basically takes his axe, which we don't see, but takes his axe to the dwarves guarding the tunnel, basically, I'm assuming, killing them, which basically makes Prince Durin have to keep the army in Khazad-dûm because they can't leave, otherwise shit will go, shit will happen. All right? So basically, yeah, like I said, punish, control. Anyway. But again, it's I'm not really going to go into everything that transpires in this episode because it's, like I said, the entire premise is Eregion is being attacked. Celebrimbor, they are doing my boy Celebrimbor so fucking dirty. He's shown as weak. He's shown as like. Let me see if I can get a shot of. I'm going to skip this because this is the whole kiss scene. And basically, Elrond is saying, "Oh, like Prince Durin's rallying the dwarves to come to our aid." Oh, like you remember the scene in Two Towers where they go after the wall? Well, they don't use explosives here, but they do pull a piece of the wall out because basically member berries, chat. Remember that in Two Towers, right? So we got to do this.
Whoop. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
After a part of the wall that's kind of weak. Remember Helm's Deep? Remember Helm's Deep where there was that where they could lay explosives and take out the wall? Remember that? Member berries. Essentially what it is. And most of the episode, like I said, most of the episode is the orcs is basically trying to get into Region, which they eventually do. And Elrond's the elves make it from Lindon to Region in a matter of days to face the orcs. See if I can show some of the battle. I don't have timestamps, and I wish it showed. Oh yeah, Celebrimbor breaks free eventually because he notices little patterns, like a mouse on the floor that repeats the same pattern. So that's how he's able to figure out that he's being controlled. Look at that. I kind of take that back a little bit and play that. Look at this. Okay, so this is Elrond has only ever been portrayed as a herald in this series up until the second season, and for some fucking reason, because there's a line in this episode that says, where Adar basically trolls him on that, and not Elrond says you've never seen me wield either a pen or a sword. I'm like, well, neither has the fucking audience at this point. We've only seen you use a pen in one of the first few episodes of the season 1, but after that, we're supposed to believe you can wield a fucking sword? And look, god damn, the armor sucks. His sword is able to do this, but he can't cut a rope later on when he's trying to stop the device from breaking the wall. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of skip over that, basically what happens to the horse, because I'm like, you really didn't fucking need to show that. Yeah, that whole deja vu, the writers, that shows you, again, the writers are not creative. They pull shit from other sources and think that we're too stupid to notice. Really? Like I said, that's why I have this clip right here.
Whoop. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
That's exactly why I have that clip. Because, they think we're too stupid to notice. It's just like when they try to go, oh, we don't have hobbits in this series, we have Harfoots. And we're like, no, Harfoots are hobbits. What the fuck are you talking about? They tried that little semantic shit on us. And we're like, no. No, Harfoots are hobbits. What the fuck are you talking about? They thought there were idiots that believed them, but the real Tolkien fans are like, what? No, you're lying. You're straight up lying to people. But yeah, they went back to the book. They went back to the book, back to the book, back to the book, and I want to know what fucking book that is because I want to beat them with it. So we see. Oh yeah, remember again? Oh, remember that? Remember that with the ladders when they were fighting in Helm's Deep? Remember that, chat?
Whoop. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
So I'm not gonna play that again, basically. But like, remember berries, basically. Remember berries, because remember the ladders when they start scaling the walls. When you have like 10,000 urukai, actual urukai, because urukai would not be around now. They really don't make an appearance until the Third Age. They are separate from orcs. They weren't the movies make it look like Sauron created them. He was just waking them up, basically. But they are a separate species, and they don't really appear until the Third Age. And this is dropping the word Uruk in this series. And there appears to what there looks like Urukai in some of the scenes, and again, would not be happening. Yeah, no, I mean to make a member berries counter. Oh yeah, like Boromir shot with more arrows. Yeah. Steve Kenobi on Twitter pointed out that it was also ripped off from a scene in I believe Xena. I think is his what his post said. Basically, that scene was like a blatant ripoff of a scene in Xena. Where when she does that, and they're trying to make it look more epic and tragic, and I'm sitting there watching this episode going, I don't give a shit. I don't know this character. I couldn't even remember her fucking name at all. I wouldn't even bother to remember her name at fucking all. And I'm supposed to care that she dies. I'm supposed to care that she's like has such a tragic, epic death. And I'm like, could you die already, please? I want just get on with it. You know what I need? I just thought of this. I need that scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail where it's like, get on with it. Get on with it. That's what I fucking felt like this entire episode. Get on with it. I was not engaged at all. I was not engaged at fucking all. I was like, just get on with this. Get on, just. So. I'm just saying. The writing is piss poor at best. Yeah, piss poor at best. Plot conveniences galore, blatant ripoffs, and lore breaking up out the ass. A high school play would have done better. Yes, I know. Girl power and cheats. So yeah, so basically they're scaling the walls like in Helm's Deep. I'm just amazed they didn't have the elves counting, like the little back and forth between Legolas and Gimli of who could get the most kills. That shit. I'm surprised they didn't do that. Oh yeah, somehow not Galadriel is able to make her way through these trenches of orcs. They should at least be able to smell that, just scent that she's not even a fucking orc. But she's able to walk past them with just a fucking, just cloak or whatever, keep her head down, and she's able to do that. And she's able to, like I said, orcs should have at least been able to fucking smell a distinction that she's not an orc. And she's able to do this. It just amazes me. That orc even fucking touches her. And the fact that she's even the size. Look at that. She's close to the size of that orc. Galadriel's well over 6 feet tall. She would not have been able to sneak through the fucking trenches. She would have been noticeably fucking taller than an orc. But no, she's able to sneak through the trenches. And they get her to help take this dead body of an orc, and we're supposed to be, sad because Adar really loves them, and he like he's like, what does he say here? And in flames they return to darkness. That secret passage is described as an old dwarven tunnel. And when she said that, I was like, what? Fucking what? An old dwarven tunnel. Old dwarven passage. That she used to basically sneak in and out of the city. And out of like the walls of Region. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. If there's an old dwarven tunnel leading into a Region, that tells me at one point the elves and dwarves had at least a working relationship. Trade, whatever. Yet you're fucking telling me that Celebrimbor needed Elrond's help to get the dwarves to agree to help them build a forge. What? And then at the same time, this. So, when did the dwarves lose? Why is there an old dwarven passage? I was like, I heard that, and I'm like, fucking what? Like, did you guys fucking forget that Celebrimbor had no dealings with dwarves? He got basically implied that he needed Elrond's help in the first season, in the first few episodes of season 1 fucking alone, and yet for some reason there's an old dwarven tunnel here? See, the problem is I can't. I do have a whammon brain, Last Toxic Male, but I can't turn it off. Hell, I even ruin movies for people because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And they're like, damn it, Mara. Trey could tell you. I can't turn it off. If something doesn't make sense to me, I go, wait a minute. I ruin movies for people. I don't intend to do it, but I'm like, if you really think about this, and they're like, shut the fuck up. I don't want to think. I just want to enjoy this. So I'm okay. I don't say anything. Yeah, apparently, but she does. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Trey could tell you because I was like, this doesn't make sense. I'm literally like the meme. I'm literally like the meme. Something isn't right. But anyway, I'm saying that it's like, she somehow knows there's an old dwarven passage leading to a Region. Okay, plot convenience out the wazoo, pretty much. And in flames, they return to darkness, which makes perfect fucking sense, but it is what it is. Oh, yeah, and Hood Legolas conveniently shows up to save her. Boom, boom. Okay, elves are fast, they're not that fast. Unless he shot 2 arrows at the same time. Oh, look what she's able to do. That she could have done all fucking along, but then she's walking through the trenches because you had to have that little tension, right? Look at that. Look at that. Look at what she was able to do the entire fucking time. Oh, nothing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then she decides, okay, I gotta get out of here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm figuring she had plenty of fucking time to do that because it didn't seem like there were a lot of orcs around, and yet for some reason she had that had to happen. Yeah, even Legolas had some delay between shots. All right, and the only time he was able to hit more than one target is because he shot 2 arrows at the same fucking time. That's it. But there is still some delay because you have to draw the arrow from the quiver, aim, and fire. It's not like boom, boom, boom. I don't know. Maybe. So she gets out and, oh shocker, he's able to make it all the way from Pelargir to Eregion. And for those who tuned in after my little explanation about how maps work, I will show you again why it's impossible for him to have shown up when he did. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Right? It's impossible to have shown up when he did. Yeah, in less than 24 hours. Yeah, he was going to do that. Muster an army, and by sunrise, all right, remember Barry's chat, because remember in Helm's Deep, when Gandalf says, look to the east, basically, ere the sun rises. Remember Barry's chat? All right, so basically, Hood Legolas has made it all the way from Pelargir to Eregion because he somehow figured out whatever map he found on the orcs was Eregion, and he somehow deduced that that's where Adar was going because he's after Adar for the death of the healing wench from the first season. All right, so he somehow made it all the way fucking there to seek vengeance on Adar. Yeah, jangling keys. Well, Durin does not show up because they have to keep the army there, apparently, to basically keep the king at bay from digging, because the king took an axe to the dwarves that were protecting the tunnel from him. So yeah, they need a fucking army to stay to do that for one fucking man. One fucking dwarf. You need an army to stay. I don't know, put him in chains. Yeah. I know Grizzy. I haven't seen anything in regards to this, but I do know Grizzy. But apparently they need it's working for you, Wax, yeah. They need the army to stay. Riddle me that, Batman. Why do they need the entire army to stay to take out one fucker? One dwarf. Even then, there would not be that many loyal to him. At least not enough to basically stand in the way of the army. But they needed them to stay, otherwise chaos would ensue in Khazad-dûm. Riddle me that, Batman. I'm just saying, it's one king. It's one fucking king. It's not like they're being attacked themselves. It's one fucking king that's going off the deep end because a ring is making him dig. I'm like, what the fuck? But that's the reason this episode gives for the dwarves not showing up, at least at the end of the episode. Now, maybe they'll show up for plot convenience in the next one, but I'm like, that's the reason they give for them not leaving Khazad-dûm in this one. So she convinces Hood Legolas basically to not go after Adar and just help Eregion. All right, fine. Yeah, this is the guy who says, "Oh, yeah, I need your help." That's the dwarves. All right, and basically, Celebrimbor is chained to work on the 9 rings. Celebrimbor is figured out through deduction and basically being flat out fucking told that that is Sauron. They make Celebrimbor weak. They make him an idiot. They make him prideful. They make him duplicitous. They make him manipulative, essentially. And easily manipulated. They do him so fucking dirty. Because he's made to look crazy in front of his own people. And these are elves that have lived within Eregion's walls for how many fucking hundreds, thousands of years? Because elves live a long fucking time. And you're telling me that just in a short period of time, they're willing to turn their backs on Celebrimbor because he appears crazy and listen to this dickhead right here? You're fucking telling me that they're stupid enough to do that? Because at one point they're they're taking orders from Anantar. Because Celebrimbor appears, like I said, like he's lost his mind. Yeah, they know about the fucking beast. They know there's a beast. They don't know it's a Belvar, but they know there's a beast. So if he's already awakened, then what's stopping him from taking out the dwarves thousands of years before he actually does it? Oh, he's shackled. He's wearing a he's shackled to the table, but not like how they showed the diverse elf in the first season. Basically, he's basically chained to the table to make him like finish work on the 9 rings. Yes, I have seen the trailer. I did not do a video tearing it apart, but I have torn it apart on social media. I hate the fact that they're basically making Helm's unnamed daughter the central character in this premise. Like, I hate the fact that they're turning into a warrior princess of sorts when she's an unnamed character in the story itself. They're taking a character like Helm Hammerhand, who was the original One Punch Man, who, when he was killing the enemy, all right, get this chat. All right, get this chat. Basically, his mindset. Right? His mindset was, if I use a weapon against the enemy, then, like, you know, basically that, like, if I use what, then that, like, a weapon could be used against me, essentially. All right. So his mindset is he killed the enemy with his bare hands. That way, no weapon could be used against him. He killed the enemy with his bare fucking hands. To the point where they actually thought it was a beast sneaking into their camp during the night. Now imagine seeing that. Like, actually seeing that on the big screen. Even in animated form. Seeing that on the big screen. A larger-than-life personality within the king, Helm Hammerhand, killing the enemy with his bare hands. To the point where they actually thought it was a beast, like, coming into their camp at night and killing them. What actually started the fucking war was the fact that he punched a man with, like, one punch, killed a man, and the son basically declared war on him. And when I say the son, I mean the son of the man who died, declared war on Helm Hammerhand. That's what fucking starts the war. Not him doing this. No, he did what I described after the fact. Because he would sneak into the enemy camp and kill them with his bare hands, as I said. It was after the war started. But they're making him look fucking crazy. Yes, he was the original One Punch Man, Liquid Blake. How about this? I read the accounts, because I have. Right here, the actual accounts. But what actually starts the war is he punches a man. The man dies from that one fucking punch. As a result, the son of the man who died declares war on Helm Hammerhand. And thus starts the War of the Rohirrim. That's fucking it. Anyway, back to this shit show. Alright, so basically, yeah, he's shackled. To handle metal, yes. He's in a shop around tools designed to handle metal. Yes, he's somehow shackled to the table. And to get out of the chains, he cuts his thumb off. He's in an environment with tools specifically designed, as you point out, to handle metal, which includes cutting metal, and he has to cut his thumb off to get his hand out of the shackle. That's what he does. He has to cut his thumb off to get out of the shackle. He's in an environment where they are literally using tools to bend metal, cut metal, and warp metal. But he has to cut his thumb off. Yeah. And like, see, like here, like this is what he looks like. Again, they do Celebrimbor dirty. This is a man that, under torture, refused to reveal to Sauron where the 3 rings he created were. To the point where, under torture, he died. Now, Sauron killed him before ever finding out, because Celebrimbor was that strong, mentally, where the 3 rings were. He knew that he created them. He knew they were out there. He didn't know what Celebrimbor did with them. Celebrimbor, to his dying breath, refused to reveal that information and was strung up like a banner in front of the orc army as Sauron made his way through Middle-earth after laying waste to Eregion. Celebrimbor was a fighter. Exactly. He's younger than Galadriel. Galadriel was born before the First Age officially began. Right? She's older than the First Age. Right? That gives you a perspective on how old Galadriel is at this point. She is that old. Right? She is thousands of years old at this point. And Celebrimbor is the grandson of Feanor. He is much younger than she is. But he looks older than she is. And there is even the little bit of perspective in the lore that there was a bit of unrequited love, more like a crush that Celebrimbor had on Galadriel. They never became a thing or anything like that, but he kind of had a crush on her. Technically, they were related, but he kind of had a crush on her. Unrequited love, but still, yeah. But he's much younger than Galadriel is. He's much younger than Galadriel is. So, but then they picked one of the shortest actresses they could find to play a 6'4" character. Again, go fucking figure. So I'm trying to get to the point where he decides to cut his thumb off. He's creating the 9 rings by himself, and he gives the 9 rings to not Galadriel. He gives the 9 rings to Galadriel to protect them. So what fucking retarded tap dancing will these writers do to explain how these 9 rings come into the possession of Sauron, who ultimately gives them to the race of men, that ultimately, when those race of men die, the 9 become the ring race? When these rings weren't created with any of Sauron's input. What fucking retarded tap dancing are they going to do? Because that's a big chunk of the reason why he's able to... What happens to the 9 is there is that corrupting influence of Sauron in those rings. So when they die, Sauron has control of their spirits. Literally, in the afterlife. They become the Nazgul, the ring wraiths. But in this series, Celebrimbor alone makes them. Sauron is not there in the making process because Sauron is out watching the siege happen and for a while controlling Celebrimbor mentally to think everything's okay. I'm like, riddle me that, Batman. So he creates the 9 rings, finishes those, and he's in a shop where they can bend, control, basically literally work with metal, and he can't get those shackles off without cutting his thumb off. And I'm like, really? People are like, oh, yeah, because you have Sauron is powerful, but he's not that powerful. He would not be able to he would not be able to magically create shackles out of thin air. Oh, shut up, last toxic male. See, this is what he does. Well, let me just back a little bit to this. Watch, this is what he does. I'm not gonna. So he basically puts his thumb in this device, and they scroll up. They pan up so you don't see it, but you see the aftermath. He cuts his thumb off. Oh, and the elves around this scene basically were like, let me see. Look at what he's done to himself. The old fool really had. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. They're calling him an old fool. They've served him for how many hundreds of thousands of years? Lived in a region. This happens in a short amount of time, according to this series, and all of a sudden they're calling him an old fool. They make the elves so fucking stupid in this series. They really fucking do. They make them retarded. I'm looking at this guy from a storytelling standpoint. I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me in a matter of days, like they're going to turn from being loyal to Celebrimbor to calling him an old fool and believing that he has gone mad? Because, for reasons, basically. You're to remain in the tower so as not to be a danger to yourself. I wanted to punch my monitor so fucking hard at this line. I wanted to punch each of those retarded elves in the fucking face on my monitor because of that line right there. By order of Anatar, Lord of Eregion. In a matter of fucking days, they're referring to him as Lord of Eregion. I wanted to punch each of those motherfuckers in the face. It took not Galadriel to come in and like basically putting them in their place, and they were like, "Oh, duh, okay." Oh yeah, she really stresses her R's. Lord of Eregion. Just say Eregion. It's a trill, Eregion. But they really fucking stress their R's. I'm like, you sound so stupid. Stop that. So not Galadriel has to come in and basically stop them. She's able to sneak into she's able to sneak in within the walls, basically an old dwarven passage that she's able to sneak back out of to protect the 9 rings because they're so fucking important at this point for whatever fucking reason. I'm like, but okay, there's that old. She somehow knows about that old dwarven passage, yet none of these motherfuckers know and could, I don't know, maybe easily have had an evacuation happening. I don't know. Like, did you ever fucking think of that? Like, maybe evacuate the city? Because if the orcs don't know about it, but you fucking do, why aren't you evacuating the city? Because, like, how is it that these assholes don't know about something that's been in existence for God knows how fucking long? She somehow knows this. And I'm like, just, what? You're telling me that there's a way that they could have been evacuating everyone within those walls to the point where the orcs would not have known? But for some reason they can't? I like the episode. Only one major event happens in this entire episode, but it's everything around it is so fucking retarded. Everything around it is so fucking retardedly stupid. I guess logic and intelligence do not exist in the writer's room for this series. But she has to come in and tell him basically, and like he gives her the rings, and they make him again weak. Pardon me, I wanted what he offered, so I was weak. And so we're supposed to be sad that he's going to make some final sacrifice or try to make some final sacrifice. I'm like, boo fucking who? You're not Celebrimbor. I don't fucking care. Right? Oh, and this right here, this elf right here is one that we're supposed to care about because she gets pierced with she gets pierced with like more arrows than Boromir, and I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give a shit. You rip off that scene. It's for a character I don't care about. It's for a care, but I guess the Chinese laundry service will be not in operation anymore because she's gone. Yes, I went there because I don't fucking care. Right here. Get shot with 1 arrow, boom. Shot with 2, shot with 3, boom. 4, boom. 5, whatever. I don't care. I lost counts. I don't give a shit. She stands up. They're both copying the Boromir death and ripping off a scene from Xena. That's the level of creativity in this series. They are stealing from 2 different properties and trying to pass it off as original. And she gets up again. I don't know. I couldn't even remember this character's name. I don't even know if she was given a name in this series, but she was only in 1 real episode. I have not seen her since that episode until she appears now again, and I'm supposed to care about her death because she's one of the good guys. I couldn't give a rat's ass. Oh, trust me. I have the quotes written down. They even had Tom Bombadil doing a memorabilia quote of what Gandalf says to Frodo in Fellowship of the Ring. X-ray girl. Yeah. So she takes one of the arrows out of her. I was supposed to be badass, right? She lights it on fire. Okay. Stands up. Oh, she's weak, chat. She's fucking weak because she's been shot with so many arrows, but she stands up anyway. She draws her arrow. And no pun intended, they draw this fucking scene out for so long. She looks at them and lets it off. And they slow it down for dramatic purposes because, again, reasons. She gets the shot off. Even the orcs are looking because it's in slow motion, so they're able to watch this arrow fly in the air. Thankfully, they slowed that arrow down so the orcs could follow it. She gets it in, boom. That's what she said. She explodes whatever she was aiming for. She stands there all heroically. And finally, yeah, gets shot. And falls. Boo. Like, too bad, so sad. Okay. Alright, look at, like, not Elrond's sword is able to cut basically through armor. He's able to kill these orcs with his sword. But he gets to a point where he has to stop this mechanism from breaching the wall. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I'll watch this, chat. What are we bringing on? They're going to, like, you are hereby. Okay, I don't know if he was going to say under arrest, but they know he's basically revealed himself as a Maiar to these elves. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's gonna fucking work. That's gonna fucking work. Yep. So Sauron basically turns. It was only you who put yourself in my power. Yeah, I'm saying, like, you know, it's like it comes to the shock of no one. It comes to the fucking shock of no one that he's able to do this. Yeah, but when I say no one, I mean no one actually watching the series. Basically, it comes to the shock of fucking no one. But these elves, again, like, they're retarded. But yeah, he can't cut rope. He can't cut a rope, but he can slash through armor. All right, but anyway, he has them turn their swords on each other and stab them, and they die. And he kills the other. He kills the other elf. He's trying to arrest him. And leaves Celebrimbor at least alive for the time being. All right. And this is the character that was inspired by a Breaking Bad character. This non-canonical troll character, Damrod. Now, Damrod, in actual Tolkien lore, was a human ranger, and he was one of Faramir's men. They took the name of an actual canonical character in the Legendarium and gave it to a troll character that's inspired by Breaking Bad. He was in another episode, but you don't see, like, from that episode to now, it's like he was not around. So basically, was it episode 4? Whatever. I think it was episode 4, but whatever. Episode 4, he appeared, and he doesn't appear until now. Hey, Jam. But that's a non-canonical character, that troll, that's inspired by a Breaking Bad character. Who doesn't give a shit if he's killing either elves or orcs at this point, pretty much. But he somehow will follow the orders of Adar. I'm like, wait a minute. So Adar kind of releases him to do whatever, like to break through the walls of Eregion. And Adar has claimed repeatedly that he loves his children, the orcs. But he knows that if he sends this troll out, the troll is going to kill whatever's in his path, to include the orcs that he loves so much. All to break the walls of Eregion to get to Sauron. Okay. And he, like I said, he's using those orcs as like a shield. That somehow, okay, look, watch this. You know how like good elves are with bows and arrows, right? You know how good elves are with bows and arrows. Even if you haven't read the books and seen just the movies, as I've stated before, you know how good they are. Right? So he picks up a couple orcs to use as shields. Alright? Because the elves are on the wall shooting him with arrows. And yet for some fucking reason, as big as he is, they just hit the orcs. I'm like, he has legs. He has a lower body. The orcs aren't so big that they're protecting everything about this troll. And for some reason, the elves cannot hit anything but the orcs. I'm like, okay. Yes. Pretty much. Oh, I know. They somehow can't get around the orcs he's using as a shield. As a human shield. They cannot get around that. Why? Because reasons. Okay, and they're setting up that orc possibly to turn against Adar because he's not liking what Adar is doing. Because he has a family, right? Because we have to care about him. He has a wife and child, so we have to feel sorry for them. We have to feel sorry for these orcs that were bred to be by nature evil. Well, I thought you got more than that last Toxic Male, but you do you. Anyway. So again, they could hit nothing but the orcs. And Elrond, somehow that we were supposed to believe that he, again, in actual lore, I did not touch on this when I was talking about the Siege of Eregion, but in actual lore, Elrond's forces arrived too late to do anything. They arrived too late to do anything. So this right here is breaking lore with him arriving on time. Right? In actual lore, his forces, because he is an actual commander, not a fucking herald. He's an actual commander at this point. through serving Gilgalad, he arrives too late. I believe that he's going to do a face turn or something because, like I said, they're setting it up that he's having second thoughts, essentially, of following Adar. Like he wants to follow him, but like he's basically he's seeing what Adar is doing, and I feel like he's going to have a little face turn. All right, but in actual lore, Elrond arrives too late. By the time he arrives, Eregion is already fallen. And he's able to stab through armor. But look, watch. Watch this, chat. He's able to stab through armor, but a rope. Okay, a rope that he's going to aim for because the troll's coming and he wants to disable this mechanism. Watch. Can't cut through a fucking rope, but he can slice through armor. He can slice through armor when he's fighting the orcs, but rope is his kryptonite. However, earlier in the episode that I did not touch on, after his horse is killed, he kills the orc that killed his horse, and he sliced through the rope in one go to send the orc flying with the rocks on a catapult towards the wall. So, okay, you're able to cut through a rope in one instant, like in one swipe in that scene, but in this scene, somehow it's your kryptonite. Somehow you can't cut through it. I'm just... apparently when it comes to rope, it's dull. But he was able to cut through a rope earlier in one swing. But now it's all of a sudden it's his weakness. Oh, remember, I think that's member berries too, a little bit, just a little bit, because remember when Aragorn tells Legolas to kill the Uruk-hai that's running towards, with the torch, running towards the explosives in that little crevice, tunnel, drain, and Helm's Deep. And he's like, take him out, Legolas, take him out, kill him out, like he's telling. Little member berries right there. Look how many swings, and he still doesn't cut the rope. The rope breaks on its own and smacks this troll in his nutsack. Watch. All right, he's instead of I don't know, crushing Aragorn and killing him, because like he just like picks him up and throws him away, because you can't have Elrond die apparently. Even though in that instance the troll would have killed him. But no, it breaks on its own, and watch. Swings around. Boom! Right in the nuts. Just about right in the nuts. But he gets pierced, whatever, in the guts. And he gets mad at it because the trolls are stupid. I think the troll's stupid. So he's gonna basically ram the wall with it. Alright. Okay. And arrows aren't taking him down. But a 14-year-old kid survived a volcanic blast to the face. Oh yeah, even not Galadriel survived a volcanic blast to the face. She came out looking like she was covered in Cheeto dust. Yeah, I know. They should have, but Hood Legolas, as I call him, somehow knocks the troll over. Oh, yeah, Gilgalad never showed up in the actual siege. He never showed up. But somehow he's able to travel all the way from Lindon to Eregion. In a matter of hours, apparently. Or at least not long after Elrond left, which would have been like, I don't know, a few days? But Gilgalad appears. Or not Gilgalad appears, I should say, because none of these canonical characters in the show as anything remotely at all connected to the actual canonical characters. So he shows up. And somehow has the strength to pull that troll down. Look at that. He somehow has the strength, all right, to hit the troll there and pull him down. Go back to your hill and be buried. What kind of line is that? Go back to your hill and be buried. At least, if you're going to have an epic quote, at least, like, you're already stealing lines from the actual canonical work, so you might as well steal another one. Yeah, I was mad at that. Like what happens to the horses in the scene. I was more mad at that in terms of actually caring about characters than even giving a shit about the actual ones that are fighting. But go back to your hill and be buried. I mean, like, you're stealing elsewhere. Like, you're stealing other shit. Steal a more epic line. You know, hell, they had not Galadriel say, "Go back to the Shadow" to the orcs, which makes no sense because the orcs weren't created from Shadow. The Balrog was, but this show has her saying that to the orcs, which makes no fucking sense. But it's again stealing a line from actual Lord of the Rings. And this is what Hood Legolas does. Boom. He somehow is able to knock this troll down. I don't know. I hope not. But he's able to knock this troll down when Legolas had to, in order to take down the cave troll in Fellowship of the Ring, had to sneak onto its back. And even then, the skin of the cave troll, you saw what happens. I mean, if you watch the movie, the arrow shatters against the skin. Because trolls, their skin, the hide is thick. So if you get a good shot off, yes, the arrow could pierce the troll, but at the same time, it's not easily pierceable. Yes, and he had to shoot it in the mouth to actually kill it, because again, you can't kill a troll easily with just arrows. Hell, Aragorn and Gandalf were having trouble with their swords even. I mean, like, it's just... It took Legolas shooting the troll in the mouth to get the brain to kill it. Yet somehow, he's able to knock this troll down, pin its hand... Oh, they did get it in the mouth, see? A little bit. But, remember Barry's chat. They do get it in the mouth a little bit, but, like, I guess the aim is off. What? His sword is able to pierce the thick skin of a troll. Same with Gil-galad's spear. Yet Elrond's sword could not cut a rope. He's able to pierce the skin of the troll. And trolls have thick skin. But he couldn't cut a rope. Wrap your heads around that. This fight is so stupid. It's all over the place with little to no logic. Because like I said, in one instance earlier in the fight, not Elrond, cuts through a rope with one swing to send an orc flying on one of the catapults, but he can't cut a rope here. But yet, he can pierce the skin of a troll. And the troll dies. So basically, the troll appeared in one episode prior to this that I remember. I mean, after that, like, this is like the only episode he appeared in, and okay, he's like basically a one and done bad guy, and he dies. Okay, the orcs march against the Region because the wall gets breached. The elf comes back who was supposed to come with the dwarves. All right, he's wounded. He says the dwarves aren't coming. All right, and this is where the base of the episode ends, where it's like a last stand. Where basically, I believe it is meant to invoke the last stand of Theoden at Helm's Deep. Remember when the actual Rohirrim show up? At dawn, look to the east. All right. Basically, remember Barry's chat, at sunrise, Doran will show up because the Dwarven forces are going to show up to help. And look at how many elves are left. Look at like the orcs, and like I said, this is meant to invoke what Theoden does at Helm's Deep. I fucking hated the closing credits song. I fucking hated it. I let the credits roll to see what the name was. Where's my? It's called The Last Ballad of Damrod. It fucking sucked. And I like metal. It fucking sucked. Anyway, The Last Ballad of Damrod. That's what that fucking song is called. Anyway, look how many orcs are coming. Alright. Oh my god, I gotta take it back. Watch this orc here. It's a little too much. All right. This one right here. Watch how he walks. Look at that sway. He does this. I'm like, I was like watching how the orcs walk, and I'm like, I had to laugh. And the armor looks cheap. I know they're orcs. They're not exactly going to have the best armor, but dear Christ, the armor looked better in the Lord of the Rings movies. All right, so they're walking, and I'll show you how many elves are left. The entirety of Elrond's forces apparently looks decimated. I'm not sure what it's a Region looks like, but look how many elves are left. Close ranks. All right, what fucking ranks? Form ranks. What fucking ranks? Literally, look how many are left. Watch. Look! What fucking ranks? What fucking ranks? Ranks implies a lot of fucking soldiers. At least more than that. But they're like form ranks. What ranks? Look at this. Form ranks and scatter. Just like, just no rhyme or reason. Just run at them. And like I said, I believe this is meant to invoke member berries in us with what Theoden does at Helm's Deep. The last ride of Theoden at Helm's Deep, when like they're like, ride out and meet them. Like, show strength to your people. Ride out and meet them. Sort of a situation. I think that's what's meant to invoke in us, is that. With this scene. And I'm like, you're all dead. You're all fucking dead. Because they've made it look like Durin's not coming. Alright? So basically, this is what I feel like, chat.
Whoop, whoop. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Well, this is not Gil-galad, because actual Gil-galad is cool. Actual Gil-galad stood as like a commander, like basically the general in the last alliance of elves and men, alongside Elendil, against Sauron and his forces. Actual Gilgalad is a Chad. He died at that battle, as well as Elendil. Basically, both died at that battle. Actual Gilgalad is a Chad. Theoden is a Chad. If I were to at all swear fealty to any lord, ruler in Middle Earth before Aragorn assumes power, it would be Theoden. I love Theoden. Nothing really against Gilgalad, because I'm not saying actual Gilgalad is a fucking Chad. He's a cool character. But between Theoden and Denethor, I would choose Theoden. I would swear fealty to Theoden. Denethor, they do a little dirty. They do a little dirty in Lord of the Rings movies. He's not that crazy. Like, they make him look weak, and they make him like pretty much an asshole. They do him dirty in the movies. But of the two, Theoden. I love Theoden. But I think that's what's meant to be invoked in this scene. And, well, basically, oh yeah. So, Hooded Legolas gets stabbed, but somehow he survives. Alright. And instead of, I don't know, finishing him off, like an actual bad guy would not just leave him to die like that. That would just stab him right in the back. No, he just walks off because basically because this Hooded Legolas has plot armor. Oh my god, no, I didn't see that. It's the power of the Fade. It's the power of Odin's Fade. Oh, wrong mythology. Yeah, we were supposed to feel bad for him, apparently. But he's left to die when an actual bad guy, an actual orc, would have basically stabbed him in the back to make sure he was dead. No. And they, get the wall pierced, boom, so they can, get into Rhegion. Rhegion falls. Because the elves inside of Rhegion's walls were staying there while the elves outside were dying. So, and not hitting shit, apparently. So the orcs make it into Rhegion. And we're supposed to feel bad for the elves. And look, that looks like an Uruk-hai there. That looks more like an Uruk-hai there. Uruk-hai weren't in existence yet. At least they weren't mentioned until the Third Age. There would be no Uruk-hai, or nothing as tall as that. Alright, we're supposed to feel bad for the elves. Too bad, so sad. And Elrond, not Elrond, who tried to Shocker, lied about having Nenya. And now Adar has it. Again, Adar has him dead to rights. Adar, again, this is like full-on plot armor at this point, because Adar has him dead to rights and would have killed him. But Elrond can't die because he has to be alive during the Third Age. So he has, literally these characters have plot armor at this point. Because the storytelling makes absolutely no fucking sense. And why would Adar at all bother to keep this one alive? And, hold on. He gets Nenya. Or, the costume jewelry version of Nenya, because look at, I gotta get a shot of, this right here. I'm like, how do you go from this? Or how do you go from how Nenya looked in the Lord of the Rings movies to what looks like you would get, those not machines, but you, basically you have, you put a quarter in and a little plastic, bubbles, container comes out and it has a prize in it, essentially, those devices in, service stations or thrift stores or, not thrift stores, but convenience stores or whatever. Those things? It looks like something that you would get out of one of those little plastic container prizes. That's what the rings look like in this. They look like either ring pops or basically cheap costume jewelry. And I'm emphasizing cheap because even costume jewelry looks fucking better than this. So Hood Legolas looks like he survived because he has plot armor apparently, and that's where the episode ends. This is where the episode ends. Now he has Nenya. All right. And like I said, the end song sucks. Trey, if you want to have your ears bleed, because I know you like metal as well, listen to the end song called The Last Ballad of Damrod. Why it's called The Last Ballad of Damrod when Damrod wasn't even a significant character in the series, I have no fucking clue. But it's called The Last Ballad of Damrod, a character we could not give two shits about. We cannot give two shits about. But anyway, for those who showed up late, I'm going to share the map again to show how it's impossible for Hood Legolas and Elrond and as well as Gil-galad to show up as fast as they do. All right, I'm going to real fast again, and then I'm going to call it. I've been going for about 2 hours by myself. Window. Okay, why is it not? Come on. I guess I had to like unminimize it for it to read that it's open. Here it is. All right, Chad. Here's a map of Middle-earth. It's not exactly readable because it's not the best quality, but I'm going to give you perspective here. All right. Here's my little cursor. Here's the Shire. Here's Weathertop. Weathertop, if you haven't read the books but watched the movies, that's where the Nazgul find Aragorn and the hobbits, where Frodo is wounded by one of the Nazgul blades. Right? Shire to Weathertop. Even with Aragorn speeding things up from Bree to Weathertop, this entire trip took about a month. This entire trip is estimated to have taken about a month. This distance right here on foot. Hood Legolas is traveling all the way from down here and around down this area because he was last seen in Pelargir. We have no idea where he is, actually is in either episode 5 or 6, as he doesn't. Might have been 6 because he was in the beginning and then you don't see him anymore, right? But he's traveling, right? But he's traveling and he kills a few orcs on the way, but he'd be traveling from all the way down here to Eregion up here. I'm going to show you that. See this distance? In what amounts to a matter of days. This distance right here. When it took them, the hobbits and Aragorn, a month to get from here to here total. Aragorn when they meet him in Bree, but total a month. Elrond and Gil-galad, the non-canonical versions of them, are traveling from Lindon, which is around here, all the way to Eregion. This distance. Elrond even has time to bypass Eregion to go to Khazad-dûm to enlist the help of the dwarves. And double back to Eregion in time before the orcs actually lay siege to the walls. And Gil-galad somehow shows up in a shorter amount of time, it appears, in Eregion from here to there. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Mr. Bentham. Why do you think the writers today have issue with travel time? The same thing's happening in Star Wars and Star Trek. No, I don't think they care. I don't think they care to fully demonstrate how traveling on foot works at all. How travel works. Basically, it's like like someone said earlier, turn off your brain. I can't, but turn off your brain and just consume. Basically. All right. Like, just turn off your brain and consume. Mordor was already in existence before the Rings of Power are created. That's just, Mordor looks the way it does, and which is why Sauron chooses it as the second hell on Middle Earth. But I'm showing, like, just doing this to show you guys the distance he would have had to travel from here, because Pelargir is around this region right here. The safe haven is right around there. Not in existence yet, but this is where it'll be located, all the way to up here. Yeah, he fed his horse Nos. Lindon, around here, and all the way there. And less time it took the hobbits to get from here to here. Less time to get from here to here. He must use a portal stone. So I'm like looking at this going, I'm like, again, like, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I look at the map and I'm like, there's no way these characters would get from where we see them last to where they end up in the time they do. When we know from actually studying the genuine lore how long it actually takes. I'm going to show this again. I can't remember exactly how long it took them to get from the Shire to Mordor, but the entire scenario of their travels to Mordor and back takes a year. A year because Frodo leaves the Shire when he's the same age as Bilbo was when Bilbo left the Shire to travel to the Lonely Mountain. So Frodo is 50 and returns to the Shire when he's 51. Just to give you perspective, that's how long it took. That entire trip takes a year. Yet, this takes days. Less, like, way less than, like, less than a week, it appears. Less than a week. I'd say it took about 183 days just to get to Mordor, basically. I'm saying the entire round trip takes them a year. Because Frodo is 51 when he returns. The same age as Bilbo was when he returned from his travels. It's basically a mirror. So the entire round trip takes a year. But there it is, chat. And the one positive I can say to end this is, thank Christ there's only one more episode in this season. Thank Christ. Yeah, they had Nightcrawler. Thank Christ there's only one more episode in this season. One more episode. Thank you for this $2 super chat. Last talk is mail. Hashtag Helm's Deep and Maz's mom. Hashtag Sauron. Well, speaking of it's time to play the game, I'm on the last episode of the Vincent McMahon documentary series on Netflix, and it's a little bit eye-opening. It's very interesting. But yeah, I don't think I could walk for a year. Well, I mean, okay, so I might have others because I'm going to do it earlier in the day. I mean, I have to do it. If I do it the Saturday, I have to do it earlier in the day because a week from today is Bad Blood. Yes, I watch wrestling. And no, I'm not going to wear the L figures for the last episode review. No, I'm not. But next Saturday is Bad Blood. I watch wrestling. and that starts at 6 p.m. So I'd have to do it earlier in the afternoon for like the live stream breakdown review. Either that or Friday evening, but I don't want to have an aneurysm Friday evening. So what I'll likely do is do it like about 2:30 p.m. Eastern Saturday. I'm about 2:30 p.m. Saturday, and breaking down the last episode. Might try to have other people. But we'll see. So around 11 your time, roughly. But that'll be the overall. That'll be like when I'd be starting the breakdown. But anyway, I told you guys I'd read about what Helm Hammerhand does. I gotta find it. All right. Can't remember where I can't remember where it is. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Duh. All right. All right. Let's see. Here's a little bit about the Helm Hammerhand. All right. Much less Galadriel, yes. Like even the Spaniards are like glad, like Sauron, Eregion, but gotta stress those R's. Here, I'll look like Rhea Ripley when I do the review. Well, a little bit like Rhea Ripley. I don't know. We'll see. Of the kings with a mark between Earl and Theoden, most is said of Helm Hammerhand. He was a grim man of great strength. There was at that time a man named Freka, who claimed descent from King Freowine, though he had, men said, much Dunlandish blood and was dark-haired. He grew rich and powerful, having wide lands on either side of the Adorn. Near its source he made himself a stronghold and paid little heed to the king. Helm mistrusted him, but called him to his councils, and he came when it pleased him. So basically, keep your enemies close. All right? To one of these councils, Freka rode with many men, and he asked the hand of Helm's daughter for his son Wolf. But Helm said, "You have grown big since you were last here, but it is mostly fat, I guess." So basically, Helm just called him a fat ass. And men laughed at that, and for Freka was wide in the belt. Then Freka fell in a rage and reviled the king, and said this at the last: "Old kings that refuse a proffered staff may fall on their knees." Helm answered, "Come, the marriage of your son is a trifle. Let Helm and Freka deal with it later. Meanwhile, the king and his council have matters of moment to consider." When the council was over, Helm stood up and laid his great hand on Freka's shoulder, saying, "The king does not permit brawls in his house, but men are freer outside." So basically he says, let's take it outside. He's like, let's take it outside. All right? Men are freer outside. All right? And he forced Freka to walk before him out from Edoras into the field. So not only does he say, let's take it outside, he guides the fat ass to the field. All right? To Freka's men that came up, he said, "Be off. We need no hearers. All right? We are going to speak of a private matter alone. Go and talk to my men. So fuck off." All right? And they looked and saw that the king's men and his friends far outnumbered them, and they drew back. So yeah, fuck off, because I outnumber you. "Now, Dunlending," said the king, "you have only Helm to deal with, alone and unarmed. But you have said much already, and it is my turn to speak. So you will shut up and listen. Freka, your folly has grown with your belly. You talk of a staff, basically your mouth is as big as your gut. You talk of a staff. If Helm dislikes a crooked staff that is thrust on him, he breaks it. So, with that, he smote Fricka such a blow with his fist that he fell back stunned and died soon after. So he's like, basically, so if he refers to himself in the third person, if Helm dislikes a crooked staff that is thrust on him, well, he breaks it. So guess what? Your words were that crooked staff. So he punched Fricka, and Fricka died from one punch. Helm was the original One Punch Man. All right, Helm was the original One Punch Man. And I'll read about what Helm did. Okay, I'll read about what Helm ultimately ended up doing. All right, so I'm going to skip a few paragraphs. Right. Soon afterwards, the long winter began, and Rohan lay under snow for nearly 5 months. All right, so this is like basically the fighting has already started. Okay, fighting has already started, and winter is set upon them. Both the Rohirrim and their foes suffered grievously in the cold and in the dearth that lasted longer. In Helm's Deep, there was a great hunger after Yule, and being in despair against the king's counsel, Hama, his younger son, led men out on a sortie and foray, but they were lost in the snow. All right? They were lost in the snow. Helm grew fierce and gaunt for famine and grief, and the dread of him alone was worth many men in the defense of the burg. He would go out by himself, clad in white, and stalk like a snow troll into the camps of his enemies, and slay many men with his hands. It was believed that if he bore no weapon would bite on him. So basically, if I don't use a weapon against my enemy, the enemy can't use a weapon against me. And he killed the men with his bare hands. He snuck out into the enemy camps at night and killed them with his bare hands. It was the Dunlendings said that if he could find no food, he ate men. That tale lasted long in Dunland. Helm had a great horn, and soon it was marked that before he sallied forth, he would blow a blast upon it that echoed in the deep. So when they Helm's Deep, when Gimli blows on the horn, that's harkens back to this. All right? And then so great a fear fell on his enemies that instead of gathering to take him or kill him, they fled away down the combe. And basically, Helm ends up dying from the cold. All right? But he died standing up. It says, there stood Helm, dead as a stone, but his knees were unbent. So basically, they found him dead, still in a standing position. Yet men said that the horn was still heard at times in the deep, and the wraith of Helm would walk among the foes of Rohan and kill men with fear. That is the tale of Helm Hammerhand, or at least the little I read of it. There's more. But that's Helm Hammerhand. That's what we should be getting in the War of the Rohirrim. But no. What we get is his unnamed daughter, and she's literally unnamed in that entire account. You don't know what her name is, because she's that unimportant to the actual fucking story, but they're making her important in the War of the Rohirrim to the point where she's the central character, and I don't give two shits about her. I want to see Helm. That is Helm Hammerhand's tale. That should be the War of the Rohirrim. But there it is. He was a badass. But there it is, chat. That is my breakdown and impression, whatever there, what little there was of it, for episode 7 of season 2 of Rings of Power. There's one more episode left. I'll be covering it next week, and then thank Christ we have a reprieve until season 3, if it ever comes out. But there it is. This is why people... Well, see, Tolkien fans know the actual lore. people who are paying attention to what they're doing with this shit, actually paying attention, can point out everything already fucking wrong with it. But anyway, next week, chat. This stream will either be Friday evening or Saturday afternoon, but as I said, it'll most likely be Saturday afternoon around 2:30 p.m. Eastern, because Bad Blood starts at 6 p.m. Eastern my time. No, I didn't. Because Bad Blood, the wrestling event, starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, so I had to get this done earlier. I really don't want to have an aneurysm Friday night, so it'll most likely be Saturday afternoon, talking about the last episode of season 2. But anyway, yeah, so you can find me here on my channel doing, right now, live streams primarily, but I will be getting back into making videos at some point. Next Wednesday will be the Worldwide Weird stream I do with Steve Kenobi, and that's where we find articles that cover like basically weird, funny shit, and so we can have an actual like breather from all the cringe during the week. So that'll be next Wednesday about 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I have a Kick and a Twitch. I dual stream. I'll be playing. I'm currently doing a replay of Resident Evil 7. So I'll be going back to that Monday evening on my Kick and Twitch. Find me reviewing Dynamite. Yep. And this is my Discord. I do watch parties there. I have a basically gaming voice channel where it's like, you know, if I'm gaming offline, I'll share my screen and just shoot the shit with everyone. Yeah, so I'll be like playing Rings of Power. Resident Evil 7. Fucking hell. Resident Evil 7. I'm not done with Bioshock 2. I'm just going to basically focus on Resident Evil 7 and then kind of work out a schedule of games I'm going to be playing, because I'm getting into October. So because I kind of want to include going back to playing Alien Isolation. I have Bioshock 2. I have... Well, I'll open up my Steam real fast and see what games I have. Because I have Alien Isolation, but that's on my PlayStation. But as far as my library, I could play Pacify Friday evenings, but I would need like 3 other people to play that. That's a horror-based game of sorts. There was another game I had that I completely forgot I had. And I was like, where is it? I do have the Shadow of Mordor game. I could play, like, you know, get back into playing that at some point. Here was Choo Choo Charles. That was an interesting game. I swear, what's that game called that has like basically when Mickey Mouse was like put into made public? Like, you know, the trademark ended. I could have sworn I had that game, but I'm not seeing it. Anyway, well, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. No Minecraft. There was it was like a Mickey Mouse inspired horror game. Lethal Company is kind of a party horror game. Pacify is only about $5. Yeah, the Freudian slip is strong. Yeah, pretty much. Infestation. That's it. I could have sworn I had it. Well, let me see something. Store. Because I know I at least put it on my or something. Where is it? Okay, it's not released yet. All right. I put it on my wish list. That's what it is. But yeah, it comes out next month. That's the Mickey Mouse inspired horror game. It's a co-op horror in which you're an exterminator treating sinister infestations caused by twisted versions of classic characters and urban legends. And one of the characters is Mickey Mouse. So, yeah. Probably not Chainsaw Massacre. Maybe the Evil Dead game, but it's been like a long time since I played either one of those. But that's what I'm talking. Infestation. And that comes out next month. That's why I'm not seeing it, because I don't have it yet. But I could have sworn I have. But anyway, thank you, everyone. I'm going to call it here. Next week will be the breakdown of the final episode of Season 2 of Rings of Power. Thank Christ. Tomorrow I'll be playing D&D. I did message My Nerdy Home asking if Talk Nerdy to Us will be on her channel or mine. Because technically it would be on my channel, but since her internet shit the bed last week, I asked her, well, do you want it on, like, which channel do you want it on? I need to know so I can come up with topics. She saw it 3 hours ago, but she did not respond. So I'm like, can you give me an answer? But anyway, she saw it 3 hours ago, but she did not respond. So, but anyway, thank you, chat. I will hopefully let you all know what channel Talk Nerdy to Us will be on tomorrow evening at 8:30 p.m. It's either going to be on my channel or it's going to be on her channel. But there it is. So thank you all, everyone. Have a good rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. And don't drink yourself to death with this show. But I have alcohol for the last episode. We'll see where it takes me. So good night, everyone. And peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.